You are watching Gouche Live featuring Paul Rosen. Rosie's right there, brought to you by the good people at the Hockey News and, of course, the great people at Sports Illustrated.
And the incredible people at Paramount Sports Management, which I am here for the first time. I'm downstairs. You're upstairs.
Well, here we are. I'm in my upper office where you see the rink, and this is one of the dressing rooms. And you're downstairs in the new Gouche Live featuring Paul Rosen studio that's going to be set up. It's going to be set up like a man cave, and you can come and buy some stuff, support the charity, stop concussions, shoot for a cure, safe for sports. We're really excited about having the opportunity to bring that, all because of Jeff Emerald and his great people. Absolutely. And today, and just in case you can hear some in the background, there's no windows in the office yet down here, so people are walking by, and but social distancing. They're outside of me, so don't worry. Right behind you too. We've got in sad news today, Gouche, I know you're not a baseball guy, but the great Tom Seaver, one of the greatest baseball players of all time, great pitcher. He passed away. And at 75 years old, he passed away, and I heard it was from COVID-19. So, man, lost a great one, a legend in baseball with losing Tom Seaver. I don't know if anybody out there who remembers Tom. Hopefully, we can talk baseball with Warren Sackhew again in the near future. Tom was a guy who was, Chicago Cubs, incredible pitcher. New York Mets. He was incredible pitcher. Just unbelievable guy. Just he controlled the game. Tom Seaver. He actually he was the type of guy in the old days of ball that could just, from the first inning, man, he could go 9. He could go complete games like you wouldn't believe. Just an incredible person too, Tom Seaver. So the late great Tom Seaver dead at 75 years old from COVID-19. Read it today. Really disappointed in that, Gouche. Can't hear you, Gouche. You got your mic on? He's a quality person, and we're going to miss him. So thank you for bringing that up today. Lots of stuff going on. I'll tell you what, and we're very blessed to have Tom Groszman, film director. This guy's a producer, a director. He's done some incredible stuff. And I found out he can be part of our Mental Health Mondays, as he did a film on addiction. And we'll talk to him just a little bit about that, because we're going to get him back on Monday the next couple of weeks, and we can be able to talk about that. It's a sad day in sports, as you mentioned, but what a great night for Hutch. Michael Hutchison had an incredible game last night. The first goal was a little bit suspect, and, man, he guarded the doors, and certainly a great game. Yeah, he shut it down. He let that first one in. I was going like, oh, my God, and I was getting texts from Jamie McGuire. I think he was biting his nails. I don't know if he had nails left, but then he shut the door, and they have 4-1 win to have 2 starts now and 2 wins, and now going into Game 7. I don't know, Gouche. You heard yesterday I said, could he be the next Binnington, or Jordan Binnington of 2020? Could it be Michael Hutchison? Could he take the Colorado Avalanche from Game 5 and looking like they were dead to the promised land and hoist the Stanley Cup? I don't know. Could be good. I loved him in Winnipeg. Unfortunately, just didn't work out. Listen, we're really blessed to have Tommy Groszman. What a great story. I'll tell you what, he's been in the film and television industry for a very long time. He is a producer and a director of feature films, television series, and made-for-television movies, documentaries, and over 100 national commercials. I'll tell you what, one day he met Tony and I and my mom, and he wanted to do a live show, like reality TV with the Gouche. But Mom said no, so we canceled it. Put a camera in the Gouche's house and see what goes on. Well, I'll tell you what, this is the guy right here, Tom, and it's a true story, right, Tom? I'm not even making it up.
Exactly. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, Paul. I mean, you're absolutely right. We wanted to grab a camera and follow Gouche and Tony around, and you know what would happen.
Oh, I absolutely. First of all, Tommy, before we get going, I just want to thank you so much. I haven't talked to you in quite a while since we have done the last show with you, but I really appreciate the thoughts and prayers through the last little while, wishing me all the best when I was going through my pneumonia and my kidney stones. Means a lot when you reach out and say hi and send a prayer my way. So I want to thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Paul, and thank God you're feeling better. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. Hey, before we get into different things, do you remember Tom Seaver, the great Tom Seaver, great pitcher?
Yes. It's such a sad story, and I heard the news, and absolutely devastating. And what a ball player he was, and beauty of a man. And went through so much. I understand he had several challenges, Lyme's disease, and several challenges.
Yeah.
Well, we're really blessed to have the opportunity to talk with you, Tommy, of course, about baseball. Tommy's a big hockey guy, too. As you probably know, Paul, we're going to be talking a little bit about Team Canada 72. Do you not believe that this young man here, at the ripe old age of around 60, was at the game in 1975 at the Montreal Canadiens, the Montreal Forum? Unbelievable. We'll talk about that.
And hold on, Gouche. You didn't say 6. You said 16, right? Not 60.
No, he's under 60.
Yeah, 16 in 1975.
No, but he's under 60 now.
Oh, he's okay. I thought you meant he was 60 and 75. That would be a hell of a story.
Let's not do the math, guys, because then the reality is going to come out.
And of course, he's in Montreal, and what happens? We could talk about the Montreal Canadiens and, of course, the big trade and what's going on, and he's got some inside stuff. But before we get into that, a hell of a resume, bud. You can I was reading it earlier. Some of the things that you've done are just absolutely amazing. You've been involved with works on 3 of the major U.S. channels, ABC, CBS, and NBC, and you've done a bunch of stuff with the cables, the Fox, the MTV, as well as CBC, CTV, YTV, History, and the Family Channel, and now Gouche Live.
That's what I was going to say. And now I got a fantastic credit on the resume. Gouche Live with Paul Rosen.
You got it. Hey, listen, Ashley's joined us. What a great story. I had an opportunity to look at your hockey DB. Wow, tough guy. We look forward to getting you on the show next week, Ashley. Thank you for joining us. And all the way from Brisbane, just before he's going to work, Brisbane, Australia, Ron Hughes is saying hello. And, of course, our good buddy, Robert Wine. Hey, listen, let's get right into it. We talked about Team Canada 72 a little bit earlier. Yesterday, it was a 7-3 loss for the Canadiens over the Russians. And of course, we know some inside tips, of course, knowing Paul Henderson. Paul, you've been around him quite a bit. And I know that, Tom, you've had an opportunity to interview a bunch of these guys, me being close to Ronnie Ellis. Incredible. 48 years ago, yesterday was the first game of that series that everybody thought it would be 8-0 wins for Canada and with large scores. Tommy, tell us what you remember about that time.
Well, I'll tell you that as a young man, as I was telling you earlier, Carrie, I was in high school at the time, and we all had the same experience. It was unbelievable. Only in Canada would it happen that they let us out of school to go home to watch the games. Or if we were in school, the screens came out. You remember they had those metal stands with the wheels, the multi-platform things. And we'd watch the whole series. There was no school during the series.
Yeah. That's what happened with me. I was in grade 6 at Stylecroft Public School, and the entire school was in the gymnasium to watch the games.
Unbelievable.
Frontenac, I was at the school Frontenac, junior high. No, could it be junior high is grade 6?
7. You probably were in grade 7 because I was in grade 6.
I was still in grade 6. I don't think I made grade 5 the year before. But what's cool about that is that our TVs had the rabbit ears.
Yeah.
Going in and teacher would be up there. For all you youngsters, rabbit ears, just look it up, Google it. That's what you always do.
I actually remember one thing by you saying that. Yakushev scored a goal. I don't know which game it was, but Yakushev scored a goal, and all of a sudden the TV went, and the teacher had to go and fix it. So we saw the replay of Yakushev's goal.
Hey, listen, Tommy, before we're going to get into the Team Canada 72, Ashley just sent a very important note. Can't wait. Thanks for having me there. It's truly lots of us hockey players that look up to you and all your great guests. Ashley's talking about he was a fighter in his hockey career. Paul, you know a little bit more about him. But what we're doing every Monday, Tommy, is we're actually doing a series called Mental Health Mondays, where we bring former players on, experts in the field. And I learned today, Long Gone Day, was that what it's called?
Yes, Long Gone Day.
And you were the film producer of that. We won't get into it deep right now. Give us a really quick synopsis. And Ashley, when we have you on, we can talk about it. It's all about addiction, please.
Yeah, I'll just give you a very, very short little blurb, and I'd love to talk about it in another show. We did this movie that was inspired by Lane Staley, who was the frontman for a pretty well-known grunge band called Alice in Chains. Yeah. And do you remember the grunge music?
I do.
I do not.
And we had this movie. It's kind of a biopic, and it was played by Tim Rosen, an amazing Canadian actor. He's one of the cast on Schitt's Creek on CBC.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And very good-looking guy, ex-host of ET and everything. You never would have expected that he played this role of addiction like unbelievable. And really, so it was basically about this rock star that got into heroin because of his girlfriend. Actually, he had lost his girlfriend, and he had never touched the stuff. And we go through the entire journey. It's kind of like a modern Romeo and Juliet of getting into addiction, and how it happens, and really got into really telling the story of one person's journey in that with that challenge.
Can we put? Can you watch it? Is it on Netflix? Is it like how?
Yes. Yes, okay. It's on Amazon Prime. It's called Long Gone Day.
Okay, maybe we can put that, and then I'm definitely going to watch it. I lived the part, so I definitely want to watch it. Tommy, thank you.
Yeah. Listen, obviously, when you were going to do the reality TV show with Tony, myself, and Mama Gouche, we wanted to use the title was going to be Up Schitt's Creek. It was taken. Tommy, here's a really good one. We're going to put you on the spot. I'm a well-known author. And the guy next to me is going to have a book written with Roger LaJoie. It's going to be a bestseller. I'm about 800 books away from a bestseller. I bought 4,000 of them. You have to get 5,000 in Canada. I think Paul's going to do that. But if there was a movie made on Paul Rosen, who would star him right now? Look at him. Who would be the lead actor?
Well, it's a slam dunk. It's Tom Cruise.
Oh my God!
No.
I thought you were going to say Bruce Willis.
That's a good one. Okay, how about me?
That's a good question.
Tim Robbins.
Tim Robbins. That's a good one. I like
Arnold
that.
Schwarzenegger. I'm thinking Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt. That's it. Exactly.
Mel
Brad
Gibson.
Pitt.
I wouldn't be a Mel Gibson.
Gibson could play you.
Yeah, I don't think you want to play. Mel Gibson's had a little controversy in his life. I don't know if you want to be there.
Okay, listen, let's get back into Team Canada 72. Got a great comment here coming from your brother, Karlamov. Where is it? Sorry about that. Oh, that's not it. Valerie Koma was the most talented Russian nobody knew about until they came over. Obviously, Bobby Clark thought he was the best, broke his ankle. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I wanted to mention something about that. Your friend, Carrie Ron Ellis. I hope I'm not breaking any confidence here, but he told me a little story about that. He was actually on that line with Bobby Clark, and something transpired on the bench. They were talking about this player. Just going back a step. What you said. What did we think when it was all happening? Well, we all thought it was going to be a slam dunk, right? Like they showed up. They didn't have good skates. They didn't have good sticks.
Right.
We thought that they didn't even know how to play hockey, right? There was a big surprise to everybody. And so they see this guy Harmeloff flying up and down the ice. It was like crazy. And the coach said something like this. I'm just paraphrasing now, so don't quote me on this. He said something like, "Someone's got to get that guy."
John Ferguson said it.
Oh, it was John Ferguson. Okay.
Yeah.
And Bobby Clark took it literally, says, "I'll get him," and jumped over the boards. And the rest is history, right? He went and broke his ankle.
Yeah. Two-hander.
Yeah, so obviously we've talked a little bit about it. You may remember this while you were watching in Montreal. In that game one, I said it yesterday on the show, Espo scored right off the bat, with 30 seconds to go. And then at 6:32, Henderson from Ron Ellis scored to make it 2-0. And what's ironic about the whole story, because you look backwards on this thing, Paul Henderson turns to Ron Ellis on the bench, leading 2-0, and he says to Ron, "We are in trouble. These guys are good." And they're up 2-0 within the first 7 minutes of the game, and of course, it ended 7-3.
The one thing I remember, I don't know if you guys remember this, it was not against Canada-Russia, but Canada was played a couple of exhibition games before, and there was an exhibition game, I think it was against the Czech Republic, Czechoslovakia, that the referee was brutal, and Jean-Paul Parise, if you remember, he went at him at the penalty box to whack him. And that's one thing that's ingrained in my head. Back then,
that's game
that guys did.
That was in the game. That was game.
No, it wasn't against Russia. It was an exhibition game that Parisi went after the referee.
No. Sorry, Paul.
Yeah,
I must.
Right, you know what? My brother he'll chime in.
It's Joseph Campella. I think it was game 6 or 7. Because I had the referee, I did Team Canada 72 over in Germany in a charity game. Not sorry to bring up the history of it, but what happened is J.P. Parise was a bad call, and he went to hit Joseph Campella, who actually refereed against me in Germany, and I relived Team Canada 72 in an event at the Hanover World Championships. I had Paul Henderson, I had all the guys there except J.P. Parise, and Trechak didn't show up. But you're absolutely right. Absolutely.
Okay. I thought it was the exhibition game, but if it was in the series, okay. But I remember that was crazy. He could have killed him.
But prior to it, there was a game in Sweden. And there was a brawl, and it was ugly. It got really ugly. So maybe you got that kind of mixed up, but that's all right. Hey, listen, Sam McBeth's on. He's saying John Patrick Stewart for you, Paul.
I don't know who that is. Sorry.
Star Trek.
I don't know Star Trek, man. Sorry.
Okay. Tommy?
Yes.
It looks like him, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. Oh, yes, perfect. Okay. Actually, he could play him exactly. He has to change the accent, but it would work.
All right.
I'm not sure who DB Sweeney is, but we'll take it for.
Oh, DB Sweeney, yes. He was in one of the kids' Mighty Ducks. I think it was the Mighty Ducks or one of the movies.
Long Gone Day is the movie. You have to take a chance.
I'm watching it tonight.
All right.
Oh, great! Thanks, Paul. Mark, I just wanted to say one thing. I wanted to say one thing about this is such a deep subject. It's unbelievable. After all these years, we can do 10 episodes on the 1972 and the 75 series. It was just historic. And the energy and the electricity and the tension, and it was a part of the Cold War. It had a historical backdrop. It really was us against the Russians. It was really the superpowers of hockey, if you will. If you set Danny, I think was it Foster Hewitt or Danny Gallivan? Does anybody remember?
Hewitt.
Yeah, Foster Hewitt. But I want to bring up one little point in all of this, which really highlights the tension. Do you remember the speech that Espo made?
Yes.
When he was upset. When he was upset with the fans.
Yeah, that was in Vancouver. Yeah, Game 4, right?
Game 4. He shout out against Canada, and to get the fans to rally behind the team, and nobody's ever done that like that. That was really powerful.
Yeah.
That's a kind of even a guy like Espo. You have to say he was probably the most together athlete I've ever met. So calm, cool, and collected that he almost lost it he was under such stress.
It seemed like he was like almost crying, like he was like pleading to the, like, we're here and we're working our tails off, and we're doing this for the love of the country, and we want to win. Hey, do you guys remember there was a few players who quit, who walked out? I think Vic Hadfield was one of them. Do you recall that situation?
I don't remember exactly the quitting. I think there was like what I remember, and you're probably right, Paul. I don't remember the quitting, but I remember Harry Sinden was the coach and the general manager, I believe.
Yeah.
And he announced the originally it was a 30-man roster, and then there was some, political thing, and they stretched it to 35 players. And then what they announced, the original team, and Bobby Orr had the knee injury and couldn't play.
But they broke the rules for that. If you don't recall, the Russians actually said it could be a game day decision. They left it because the Russians wanted to see Bobby Orr play, and of course he didn't get to play.
Right. Of course, he played in 75 on one leg?
74. And was
70. Sorry, Paul. No pun intended to you here. But he played on.
I like that.
Yeah. He played on one leg, and he was the star of the series in 75. Absolutely incredible. But getting back to the roster, a sore spot for you guys, me being a Montrealer, you cares more about Winnipeg, but Dave Keon, they left out Dave Keon, remember?
Yeah.
Yes.
And of course, right up here, Mark Duran is saying if Hockey Canada would have let Bobby Hull, J.C. Tremblay, and Jerry Cheevers play, it could have been much easier. I'm not sure about that. I think we were. I honestly think your brother's coming in saying Ken Dryden didn't know what hit him in the first game. I think we weren't ready for it, and we can go back in history and we can hear all the stories, and of course, players like. You had mentioned, Paul, I just looked it up. Vic Hadfield came home. Jocelyn Gouvermont came home because his wife was sick. Gilbert Perreault came home. And Rick Martin came home because Punch Imlach wanted him back in training camp. This series changed Canada.
Yep.
Like, here we are 48 years, just like what Terry Fox did, raising over $800 million for the cause. This has certainly been something that's changed the way we thought about hockey. It opened hockey up, and I think that's really important that we got to be able to see guys like Karlamov, who we had never known about. Obviously, Tretrack, it was the coming out of Vladimir Tretrack. We got a chance. I don't know if you did, if you were at the Hockey Hall of Fame induction, Tommy, when Yakashev went in. I got a chance to meet Boris Mikhailov in Belarus, Petrov, and one guy, I was telling you the story earlier, and I think I mentioned it the other day, Tommy, Team Canada 72, that version of the Russians toured Germany, and I was playing in Timmendorfer and the defenseman Raglan, I can't remember his first name off the top of my head, but probably Igor. And we played. They didn't have enough equipment. The sticks were straight. They were hammers and nails, gaffer tape. We had to give the goalie a chest pad. It was fun, no question. Nobody could speak English. We had translators. After the game, I was team captain. I was a player coach. Went upstairs, and Raglan brought up a bunch of bottles or a bunch of brown paper bags and gave it to all the players as a gift. And pulled it out. It was just a bottle with white fluid, clear fluid in it. And all he said when we put it down in front of us, he said, "Don't light a match."
Potato vodka.
Oh my God.
By the way, Kerry, you mentioned Mark Duran. He's a friend of mine, and a shout out to Mark. I want him to introduce to you guys. He's an illustrious sports broadcaster here in Quebec.
And we'd love to have him on.
He should be on. He does a lot of hockey and a lot of baseball, and very knowledgeable. Has done quite a few Olympics.
Paul, let's get him on.
Absolutely.
You don't mind, if there's any way that you could introduce us, obviously he's on here. If you're still on, Mark, please. We'd love to have you on the show next week if you have a chance.
Hey, Tommy, I want to ask you, so we talked about 72 was amazing, but Gouche was talking to me this afternoon, the New Year's Eve game, Russia and the Montreal Canadiens New Year's Eve. I watched that game on TV. probably, if not the best game ever, one of the top 3. Talk to us about that game. You were there, right?
Well, first of all, I have to talk about shout-outs. I have to do a shout-out to my late stepfather, who happened to win the tickets in a poker game.
Oh, boy.
And
Good for him.
and I was dying to go to the game, but he's not. You're not going to give those tickets to a couple of kids, right? And then suddenly, unfortunately, there was some sort of medical emergency, and he couldn't. Terrible news! He couldn't make the game.
Right.
So there I was with my best high school buddy, and there we were in the Montreal Forum, 1975, in the New Year's Eve, the best game that's ever, supposedly the best game that's ever been played.
Yep.
I really lucked in.
Tommy, could it have been food poisoning?
Yeah, exactly.
Tommy made the dinner that night.
And no,
Yeah,
he
right.
spiked it with catnip. Listen, what a great honor we have, Tommy. You've done so much in the film industry, and what's really cool is you've been able to meet and greet and interview a bunch of people along the way about that Montreal Canadian team. Tell us some of the guys that you got an opportunity to interview off that team, because it was one of the greatest teams of all times.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to recall. Well, of course, there was Guy Lafleur, Steve Shutt. Was Steve Shutt on that original team? I don't remember.
I think he was on that. I think he was in that game, yeah.
Yeah, Guy Lafleur and Steve Shutt and Serge Savard and Larry Robinson and Bob Gainey. So I interviewed most of those guys.
You think Steve Shutt was one of the most underrated players around?
Paul, that's an excellent question. And I got to tell you, I agree with you 100%. I mean, the man, first of all, I don't know what his, off the top of my head, his goals per game average, but the hand-eye coordination that he had, and people don't think about, the skating ability. He had that funny sort of choppy stride, but the skating ability was unbelievable. But the thing that he was, first of all, the hand-eye, which I mentioned, deflecting and his fantastic shot and all that. But he was the only guy that was able to play like that with Guy Lafleur. Right. He knew where to be, and he knew where Guy Lafleur was going. He knew ahead of time what Guy Lafleur was going to do. Yeah. And the two of them, like you have all these fantastic duos, right? Yeah. Wayne Gretzky and Yari Curry and everything. I'd say Shutt and Lafleur was one of the top duos of all time.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, and Shutt had some pretty good productive years.
I would say not equivalent to Gretzky and Curry, but I would say quite up there.
Yeah. Listen,
so
we've got
about interviewing the players. What the thing that was unbelievable about interviewing those players. And also players that weren't on the Canadiens, like the star, all these superstar Hall of Famers. The one thing that was consistent with all of them, even all these years later, and I was interviewing them for a project about outdoor hockey and getting back to grassroots and all that. And when I would go up and ask them these questions, their eyes would light up, and particularly Steve Shutt. He told me a whole story about how they would, they had a outdoor rink, across the street from his house, and they would go out and they would skate all day long, and they'd come back and they'd eat lunch with their skates on, and then he would go back outside, with his skates on, and they would play all day. And he told me one particular story about Guy Lafleur that I want to share with you about passion. I'm talking about passion, Yep. And I think the Russians had it as well, right? Guy Lafleur, Steve Shutt explained to me, at that time, I think it was an 8:00 start for the games at the Bell Center. And he said that he never saw anything like it. That Guy Lafleur would be sitting in the dressing room at 3:00 in the afternoon with all his equipment on, his skates on, and his skates tied tight, ready to play. That's how into it this guy was.
Tommy, he was probably having a smoke.
But you know what, Gouche? I'm going to tell you that is 100% true. And my brother's going to laugh outside of watching the show. Dave Smith was a friend of mine. He was the trainer for the New York Rangers. At the time, I was repping a back product, and I had a bunch of guys on the Quebec Nordiques and the Rangers wearing it. Guy Lafleur was with the Rangers at that time. I was out in the afternoon with Davey. We came back to Madison Square Gardens, and it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was a 7:30 start, and he walks me through the dressing room to go into his office. Lafleur is there with his sweater on, fully dressed, with his skates on, sitting in his stall. And I said to Davey Smith, I said, what's going on?
He thought it was an afternoon game.
He does that all the time. No, he's sitting there for 3.5 hours, and he smoked a pack to 2 packs a day on days.
Yeah, did he smoke during the periods? Is that what I recall?
In the intermission, he did.
Listen, you guys are the interviewers, but can I ask you guys a question?
Absolutely.
I want to ask you a question because both of you played a lot more hockey than I did. And we talk about, we were surprised by the Russians, their equipment and, their skill level was so high. And it was such a tight series, and it's always been tight with the Russians. Do you think that what got us that extra inch to just win was passion?
100%. Canadian passion, 100%. I've seen it, when I'm in a dressing room when I played, a perfect example. We're playing Norway, the 2007 World Championships. We're going into the dressing room, intermission. After the game, we're going into overtime at 0-0. And I just looked around and I could see the eyes of some of the guys on our team, and there is no way that we were going to lose that game. We won 1-0 in OT, but it's that Canadian passion that takes us that one step over the top.
I would say that while I was playing in Germany, I got a chance to play against some really good Russians that never made it to the either the Red Army team or even into the World Hockey Championships teams, or the Olympics. I would agree until the last probably 5 years. I think Canadians held that grit. We because we thought we owned the game, and so I would agree with that. It was that grit. Not just the passion, but that grit, that go the extra mile, and the Sutter family and the Hunter family. But I'll tell you what, the Russians were sneaky.
Yeah,
I hate to use the word dirty, but they were, they broke the rules a lot. Spitting, sticking, kicking, the whole 9 yards. But I think it's equaled out a little bit. There are a lot of Russians that are very, very tough and very passionate about this game. And I can only think of one, Igor Larionov is one that comes to mind.
But Gouche, the one thing is, and it's funny that I put this on today, this shirt, this thing right here, okay? When you put that on, when there's something about it, I don't know if it's Superman and Clark Kent or whatever, but when you put that Canadian jersey on and that logo touches your heart, it takes you to another level.
Yeah.
It's like passion and pride.
You got it. Your brother said that the team we were talking about in 1978, what a great team, right? Réjean Houle, I think we forgot to mention, Pierre Mondoux, Pierre Larouche, Dougie Risebrow, Doug Jarvis, Bob Gainey, Bill Nyrop, Rick Chatra, who I've met he lives in Manly Beach in Australia. It's incredible. What a great lineup. Your brother says they lost 8 games that year. Yeah. They went 59, 10, and 11. Yeah. Unbelievable.
You talk about it. You just mentioned a name there, Pierre Larouche. I think he scored 50 goals with 3 different teams, if I'm not mistaken. He scored 50 goals with 3 teams.
Hey, who's the backup goaltender? Who's the backup goaltender?
For behind Dryden?
Yeah.
Was it Tony
O?
Oh no, in the 72 series it was.
Oh yeah, sorry. In 1975. Sorry.
The Canadians, was it Bunny Larocque?
Bunny Larocque.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Bunny.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Wow. Incredible.
You mentioned Réjean Houle.
Yeah.
You got time for a little story about like a 1 minute
Always
story?
Got time for you, buddy.
Yeah.
1 minute story about Réjean Houle.
Make it a minute and a half.
Okay, minute and a half. Talking about old times when we were kids, and we were playing our midget hockey and everything, and all of us thought we were going to be Montreal Canadiens one day, right? So we often went down to the Montreal Forum, skip school if we had to, and went down to the Montreal Forum, and they had standing room only seats those days, so it was like what, $1 or $2 to watch a game. And sometimes we couldn't get in, so we would go to the juniors, the Montreal Canadiens juniors,
Sure.
and figuring also we're going to check out the competition. We're going to see how good the juniors are, right? And we all heard about this player, Gilbert Perreault.
Oh.
That he was the sweetest guy on the ice that you could possibly see, and we had to see him. So the day finally came that we got down there with a couple of my buddies. We went in there, and I forget the number that he had, but we knew the number. And we go down, and we're watching him, and he's skating through the whole team, in and out, and these rushes from end to end. We just never saw anything like that.
Yep.
And then the game was tied up or something, and he finally took it upon himself that he's going to win the game. And he circled behind his net, and he built up speed, and he had such an amazing stride, and went in and out of everybody, deked the goalie out of his jockstrap, put the puck in the net, and everybody was on their feet going nuts. And then the Forum announcement came. Le Beau, the goal. Régin Houle.
Instead of Gilbert Perreault.
Yeah, we were watching Régin. We didn't know. We were watching. That's how good Régin Houle was. We were watching.
Wow.
Yeah, this guy was unbelievable. Of course, he changed his role when he got, they changed his role to a defensive forward.
Yeah.
But what an offensive talent that people don't, I don't think a lot of people realize what a player he was.
What a great
Gilles Perreault, you talk about a great player too. 1/3 of the French Connection, René Robert and Rick Martin and Gilles Perreault.
Right.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, thank Mark. He absolutely wants to be on the show. We'll figure that out. We'll get you on next week, Mark. We'd love to have you. Canada did take the Russians loosely. I know we're going back a little bit, but it was waiting there for you guys to get to see. And I think refusing Hull, who was the best player on the earth at that time, no question. Tremblay was best player after Park without Orr. And it was the punishment, right? The WHA was not allowed to send any of their players, unfortunately. Here's another great comment from Aaron Kuzak. Guys, it's so hot here. I'm in a rink and I'm sweating to death. So he writes, love the wind in your hair. Well, I know that I've got a film producer on set. Yeah. So I just want to give him the look and feel if he can cast me in any new movies. But Aaron, all the way from Melbourne, Australia, who's actually in lockdown, guys. They're still locked up. So the Russians have a few missing bolts, though. So once they got rattled, they can hit the crazy button, and then the wind caused. That's a very true point. The one thing that I realized when I was playing against the Russians is they did have that switch where if you got under their skin, and it took a long time to get under their skin, once you got there, they were a mess. They just couldn't, controversy, because they were so straight, so black and white, red and white, but so black and white that they didn't deviate because they couldn't go out of the lines. They couldn't think out of the box. So if you got them out of that comfort zone, they were a mess.
Well, you remember that series when they came in, the Flyers, and they left all of a sudden, Bob Cole goes, they're leaving the building. They're leaving the building.
I remember that. That was classic. And that was a great story, Tommy, that you just told. Thank you, coming from Ashley. Listen,
do you remember the other goalie on the team, on the 72 team?
Yeah,
there was Tonio Dryden. There was one,
and Vachon, Rogan Vachon. Was it not
70? No, 72. I think you're talking about 75. I think it was Cheevers, wasn't it?
No, they wouldn't let Cheevers play. He was with the WHA. I'm pretty sure it was Vachon. My brother is the historian. He'll come through. But
okay, you're right. That was they announced Cheevers. They announced Cheevers at the original roster.
Yeah, they wouldn't let him go.
Right, with Bobby Hall, he went over to the WHA. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Stephen chime in on this, but I think it was Vachon was the third goalie.
Yeah.
Now,
and
we're going to
Gouche, you brought up JC. Was it you that brought up JC Tremblay?
JC Tremblay, yes, Mark did.
Unbelievable. When we were kids, this guy was an absolute magician with the puck.
Yeah.
Like, talking about, you made a good point about the Russians, Kerry, because we always thought, my friends and I, we always said they were like a bunch of robots at the beginning.
No, you know what? Look at what Aaron Kuzak says. It's like Ivan Drago from Rocky 3. I must break you.
Yeah. So, but the JC Tremblay was, he had that alley-oop pass, like up in the air over all the players and everything, and you could land it right on the guy's stick. He was pretty incredible.
As we leave the story from Team Canada 72, obviously historic, you and I, Paul, will continue on. We're going to have Liam McGuire on, who is a historian
of that
series, so we're going to have an opportunity to talk to him. I'm just looking up. Somebody had mentioned that it may have been Gilbert. No, it was Eddie Johnstone. He was the backup.
Ed Johnstone was from the New York Rangers. He was the third goalie?
Yeah, he was in the lineup.
Yeah, he was a solid goalie, Eddie Johnstone. He was a good general manager, too.
Hey, we forgot to mention Bill White, an incredible player, no longer with us. Park.
Sanderson.
Yeah. Well, Pat Stapleton and Bill White, both from the Blackhawks, played together in 72. Whitey and we lost them both, actually.
Wayne Cash
and Pat Stapleton.
And you know what?
Was Jean Rattel on that team?
I think Rattel was one of the guys that left also.
Nope. He played all 6 games.
Yeah.
Played all 6
okay.
I got it roster in front. But you know, one of the stories was that it was supposed to be Ellis, who played not Clark. Clark replaced Ullman.
Right, Norman Ullman.
A really questionable decision.
Yeah, I remember.
Clark over Ullman, and we know what transpired after that. Listen, we're going to move on. Thank you very much, Ashley, for the compliment. It's crazy the knowledge that all 3 of you have about a game of hockey. Not really, Ashley. It's called OK Google or Wikipedia.
No, it's coming right from the brain.
There's your brother, Gary Bettman.
Bergman.
Another big name.
Yeah.
And Whitey. Hey, did you hear the story, Paul? I don't know if you have, Tommy. Pat Stapleton, if you watch the movie, it's or the films, you'll see when the goal is scored. We all know, I don't know if you guys know the story. We'll talk about it a couple times this week, Paul. Paul Henderson called it. He was on the bench. Ronnie Ellis, again, was sitting beside him. The players had just gone out. Sinan had said to them, guys, get Paul Henderson's line, get ready to go again. You're going right out. And it was only a couple of seconds, like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And they're going up and down. And they were rushing up the ice with the last minute. And Paul Henderson said to Ron, I see I'm going to score the goal. And he got up, and you didn't do it in those days. And he yelled, I think it was either Frank Mahovlich or one of the Mahovlich.
I think it was Peter Mahovlich.
No, couldn't be Pete. Couldn't be Pete because Pete would never come off the ice.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Pete was. I remember hearing the story. I'm pretty sure it was Pete. And
I'm joking.
Okay.
That
I
Pete
got
would
it firsthand
never come off the ice.
Ronnie Ellis, so I'm going to give Ronnie Ellis a call. So we'll clarify that. But it was I think it was one of the Mahovliches. Yep. And normally guys don't do it, and normally guys don't get off. And whoever it was said, if Paul Henderson's screaming out, he jumped off, and that's where you see him going in and scoring the goal.
Right? Yeah.
But do you remember who the guy was that went in and got that puck and made that play happen?
Wasn't it Cornwire?
Yeah, Cornwire.
Yeah. And what's really amazing about it is nobody really knew where the puck went. There's a film that you actually see Pat Stapleton pick it up and put it in his pants. And he ended up having it. And I was on a trip with Pat Stapleton in Moscow with Dennis Hull, and the questions were, everybody was asked, where's the puck and all that, because, the jersey went for stupid money. And Pat Stapleton had it in the backyard in the garage and had thrown the puck into a bucket of pucks. And he did actually have the puck, but he couldn't figure out which one it was.
Oh, God.
How incredible is it?
What a story.
Can I, Tommy just said something, obviously loved Yvon Cornway, the Roadrunner. Can I tell a real quick Yvon Cornway story?
I would love it.
You tell one, I'll tell one too then.
All right. So it's 2008 and we're in Edmonton, the sled team, doing an event. And I did a lot of talks for the team. The team left and I stayed on. And there was a lot of alumni guys there, did our talk. I'm a massive Chicago Blackhawk fan. Still broke my heart 71 when the Canadiens beat the Hawks. The shot, Lemaire shot from center, Antonio. And so I get up. I got to get a car to the airport. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. I got my bag. I'm waiting out front. Yvon Cornway comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, Rosie, you going to the airport?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Can I share a car with you?" I'm thinking, in my mind, I'm going, the great Yvon Cornway? No, of course you can. Absolutely. We get in the car, we start talking, and I turned to him and I said, "Can I be honest with you, Yvon?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I can't, I'll bleep it because I'm not going to, we don't swear on the show. I go, "I hate your bleep, bleep guts." And he looks at me, I go, "I'm a massive Blackhawk fan. You broke my heart." I did it like Fredo in The Godfather with Al Pacino. I said, "You broke my heart in 71 when you beat the Hawks." And he just looked at me and smiled. And he said, "I get that a lot from Chicago fans."
Hey, listen, so I'll give you a quick one real quick to tell you how great this guy is. I've said it on the story. I've said it before, so maybe some of the people that haven't heard it. We were doing a thing, Ronnie Ellis for the Hockey Hall of Fame. I got to tour the country with Hager. It was the Hager had the Hockey Hall of Fame Classic, and they had myself and my wife, Tony, fly around with these guys to all the Sears stores for Hager. And it was just a pleasure. And we were doing an event in Montreal, and they needed to get Yvon Cornway signature. And so Ronnie gave me this big stack of numbers to get signed. We did the event. Ronnie had organized me to go over to his house. So I get over to the house, knock on the door. Yvon walks up to the front. "Hey, Mr. Goulet, thank you. I'm waiting for you." I said, "Yeah, thank you. Come on in. I said, No, I can't. I've got my wife and 2 interns in the back. No, you come in. I'm making lunch." So here are these 2 young kids that have no idea who Yvon Cornway is. My wife still doesn't know. If you guys, Tony has now become a hockey nut. She understands it. She loves the Leafs. So she's nuts. One time when they picked Team Canada for the 2010, we were dating just recently. They picked CP24, stopped her on the road. She was walking down, and they had just named Team Canada 2010. And the girl put the mic in front of Tony's face and said, "What do you think of the Team Canada selection?" And she blurted out, I'm so happy they picked so many Canadians." Boom. It did not make TV because they were worried about it. Anyways, so she's not that versed in hockey. So here we are. We can walk into Yvon Cornway. He lives on a golf course. We go in the back. We go into his kitchen, and it's gorgeous. It's huge. And these 2 young kids they're probably 17, 18 years old. And Tony and his wife comes in, and she's a beautiful, beautiful girl, physically and mentally. She was just absolutely gorgeous. And she's making lunch, and Yvon's pouring the coffee, and this is Yvon Cornway. So we're chatting away, and he's signing the numbers, and then he says, "Hey, you want a special treat? Come on with me." So we go downstairs in his basement. He's got a hot tub. "Yvon, please, I won't say your address so nobody will come and hunt you down." He had a hot tub with a TV in it, and he says, "That's where I watch my games." And then he says, "I smoke a cigar while I'm there too." And he said, "Come here, I want to show you one more thing." He opens up the door. He's got a driving range built inside.
Oh my God.
Net. No, but it's a net. Right, he's got a room where he's got the green, and he can drive the ball into a net, of course, in his basement. And then he says, "Okay, final thing. Before we go upstairs and finish lunch, I want you to look up there. I want to take a picture with you." He had all 10 trophies. The little Stanley Cups.
Right.
So we get upstairs. He takes a picture with us. We get upstairs. We eat the lunch. We're ready to go. And he said, No. I must sign a picture for you." So he signs, "What's your name?" Da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. We get in the car. We're driving to the airport. I turn to the 2 kids. "Guys, you have any idea who that is?" "No."
Oh,
they just had lunch
God.
with the all-time greatest Montreal Canadiens. So there's my Yvonne White Cornwall.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
You know, Carrie, talking about the Team Canada inside, you have great stories, especially, you know, Ron Ellis and some of the players. Wasn't Jocelyn Gouverman on the team? Because you know him as well.
Yeah, Jocelyn did not play. He was one of the other ones that went back. So Marcel Dion, didn't play. Brian Glennie, rest in peace. Rick Martin didn't, as we mentioned earlier. Rod Sealing, we forgot, a really good defenseman. Don Orey, we mentioned.
Cashman.
Yeah, Wayne Cashman.
Cashman only played 2 games.
Only 2.
Red Berenson only played 2 games. Don Orey only played 2 games.
Wow.
Ron Ellis played 6. Espo 7. No, sorry. Espo 8. Sorry, apologize. 8.
Both goalies were in all 8.
So was this, guys,
was
this injuries or... Sorry, was this injuries or line juggling or, lineup juggling?
Yeah. Stan Mikita only played 2 games.
You guys remember Bill Goldsworthy? When he did the thing, I'm going to tip my computer down. He did the Goldsworthy shuffle. Remember where he scored the goal? He did this.
Didn't he? He was one of the first with the helmet, no?
Yeah.
Hey, Mickey Redmond played 1 game.
Very good player.
Bill Talon played 0. And Whitey. There were 2 Whiteys on the team. Who were they?
Bill White and Pat Stapleton.
You got it. Absolutely. Okay, guys.
What about Rod Gilbert? Rod Gilbert,
he was there, but he did not.
I don't think he played.
Rod Gilbert played 6 games.
Really?
Hey, Ashley, we don't know that much. Look at, he made this one. It's crazy how much knowledge we have. I'm looking on a sheet here. All right, let's change gears.
The thing is, guys, we do have the knowledge. It's just that we can't remember.
Hey, 60. I always tell people I'm 60 years old, Tommy. I've had 38 surgeries. I'm missing 16 teeth, and I've had 12 concussions. So cut me a break.
Exactly.
Listen, and what was your name? Listen, we're going to be talking about Team Canada 72 for the whole week, and we're going to get Liam McGuire, who I'm sure you guys all know. I know you know, Paul.
Amazing.
Tommy, you ever seen Liam McGuire?
Sorry? No, I don't.
You don't know Liam McGuire?
No.
Hockey is hockey. This guy knows. We got to get Tommy on when Liam's on.
Well, absolutely. So he's going to come on the day before. The September 20th. So on September the 27th, he's going to come on and we're going to talk about the relevance of that series. There was one thing that a lot of people didn't figure out, and I did it, and I told Liam McGuire. So Ashley, you're laughing. Listen to this one. You guys are going to like this one. 1972, the final game ended up what?
6-5.
In 1987, what were the 3 scores between Canada and Russia?
6-5, 6-5, 6-5.
Okay, that's so right. How ironic. 1972, the Canadians beat the Russians 6-5, and then we have that series 6-5, 6-5, right?
Yep.
Want to hear the relevance?
Sure.
It's 15 years today. 1 and 5 makes 6, and you got 5.
Wow.
Numbers games, kids. Number games.
I love the numbers. I'll tell
you, Liam's got all those. Like honestly, Tommy, you could say right, and we're going to test you. You could ask him anything. He won the Stanley Cup in 1917.
Not only will he tell you who scored the goal, who won the game, who scored the winning goal, who got the assist, who was serving popcorn that night, and you can tell him. Anyone, 1917, 1927, 1938, 1962, everything. The guy's insane.
Tommy,
I'm not saying anything derogatory here, but he's the Rain Man of hockey, sounds like.
There's no doubt. No doubt.
All right, let's change gears because we only got a few more minutes. Tommy, thank you for joining us. We're going to get you on.
My pleasure.
Not this week. Next week, you are on to talk about Long Gone Day. That'll give you and I, Paul, time to watch the movie. Ashley, I'd love you to watch the movie. I want to get all the boys to take a peek at it. We'll get Chuck to watch it. Then we can talk about it because it's a very relevant topic right now. Addictions is up. Paul knows full hand that there's a lot of relapse. There's a lot of depression, anxiety. There's just so much going on that I think we need to keep that topic front and center, and we do it every Monday. Let's get into Montreal Canadiens, guys.
Yeah.
Montreal Canadiens have made a deal for Jake Allen of the St. Louis Blues, a Stanley Cup winner. Jake Allen. What does that mean for Carey Price? They've got some good people in their farm system. Of course, we all know Caden Primo. Why did they do it, Tommy? You're a Habs fan. Tell us.
Well, Tommy, before you answer, I want you to put into the context too, when you're talking, the amount of money now they have on the books for 2 goalies. You go now.
Right. That's a very good point, Paul. And I was mentioned to Carey, and I made an introduction. A well-known local journalist, Brendan Kelly, who does a column for the Gazette called What the Puck. He had a whole feature on this yesterday, and talking about the craziness of spending all that money on goaltending, you know. And the rumor, and this is just a rumor, is that there's some sort of consideration or plan to move Carey Price.
Wow.
And, you know, people are talking like crazy. You know, Montreal's like Toronto. I mean, you know, when there's a move like that you don't know why or what's going on, because Bergeron's doing something, right? Like they're totally not transparent. So there's something going on.
Tommy and Paul, you're a goaltender. We've all talked about you. We've actually talked about this on a couple of other shows, Paul, about them moving Carey Price. And some have said yes, some have said no. I've said there's no possible way they could move Carey Price without them burning down like they did for Maurice Richard. They'd be burning down the city. But what makes it even more complicated right now for Bergeron is the fact of how good Carey Price played in these playoffs. How could you even consider trading that?
Well, the crazy thing too, guys, is that he has a no-trade deal. So everybody talks about trade. Unless he says yes, he's not going nowhere. So he has to say yes that he wants to go. Then a team has to pick up his huge contract. I just don't know. I know I heard rumors today, Tommy, that they're trying to move Max Domi. Yeah. There's a few other things in the works. You know, the thing I heard was they want the Allen and Price to work together, like, you know, a 50, 32 game schedule if we play 82 next year, and have Caden Primo be their number 1 guy in the minors the entire year. But I just don't see it with those 2 goalies. The amount of contract that is eaten up by 2 goalies.
Well, let me play filmmaker here for a second and try to weave a story, what Carey said and what you said, and I agree with you, Paul. I didn't know, but I suspected that he does have a no trade clause, but maybe and as Carey was talking about, he played so well in the play-ins and in the playoffs. Yep. Maybe the possibility is that he was showcasing and that he wants to leave because, Montreal is stuck in this proverbial middle point. Yes. It's impossible to rebuild a team from scratch in Montreal because people would go nuts. They will not go for a terrible team for 3 years or whatever. So they keep changing little pieces here and there, and they just can't make a move. And Carey maybe wanted to show that he still has the right stuff because, he's had some holes in his game in the last couple of seasons. He's played great, but, people were saying maybe the age is coming. It's coming. Maybe he wanted to make a big statement that he's still there. He's still at his prime.
It's a great point.
Wants to, in other words, he wants to win a cup. So maybe he wants to go to maybe he, like you said, he has to say yes. Maybe he's asked for it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of goalies that are going to be moving this year. You know, Robert Leonard is unrestricted. Holtby in Washington's unrestricted. Crawford in Chicago's unrestricted. There's a lot of unrestricted goaltenders.
Yeah. The plot thickens.
You got it. Hey, listen, as we're talking about the Montreal Canadiens, I had an opportunity to look at this one. You remember this? The sweater.
Oh my God! Of course.
That's a great picture. Listen, let's just wrap this up. As far as the Montreal Canadiens go, were you happy with what they did in the playoffs? Of course, you know they lost. The Philadelphia Flyers. They had a chance to beat the Philadelphia Flyers, but I think Hart just outplayed Carey Price a little bit, and we just didn't get the offense. And I think you mentioned Max Domi earlier, Paul. They didn't get production out of the production guys. Tell me what your thoughts are and how the mood is in Montreal at this particular moment.
Well, I have to tell you that I personally am ecstatic with what happened in the playoffs, and the mood around the whole city is. I have to say it's complicated. On the one hand, everybody is very, very right. It is Montreal, exactly. On the one hand, everybody is really excited and happy because these guys put in a fantastic, amazing effort. I mean, let's be honest. Merci. Let's be honest. We don't have the lineup that the Toronto Maple Leafs have, or even what the Winnipeg Jets have. And these guys, like what Gallagher did, is indicative of how far these guys went. I mean, they went 200%, and they really competed. They're undersized. They don't have a first line. There's all kinds of problems, but these guys competed, and they did everything. And I say also nothing against the coach, but Kirk Muller did an amazing job, like stepping in and motivating the troops. And that's another political thing about having an English coach. There's all kinds of issues here in Montreal. But being your Montreal correspondent here, self-appointed.
Well, I think Mark may want to challenge you there.
It's okay. Mark could do Quebec City. I do Montreal. It's perfect.
It's a great hockey town.
Yeah. I have to say the mood of the city is complicated. Some people are very excited about the future, about these young stars, what Kotkaniemi did, and of course Suzuki played amazing, and feel that we have a young core of players and there's a good future. Other people are still really upset with the GM that he won't make those big moves, and we don't spend. Molson holds the cap money. That we have some sort of gap in our cap money for the last few years. I don't know what it is, 10 million or something. And now he goes out and buys the second goalie for this kind of a contract. So nobody really understands what's happening. And it's basically what it really comes down to. There's a lot of sort of like, what's that game with the cups when you don't know what, under which, what is it?
I don't know, dice.
Yeah. When you don't know where it's under which cup, like deception.
Sleight of hand, whatever.
Sleight of hand, exactly. And Bergeron is able to keep his contract, his coaching contract, and nothing really changes here. Yeah. We have a mid-level team for the last I don't know how many years.
Let me ask you a question, real quick question. You think Max Domi plays another game with the Habs?
I don't think so. I think he's going to be moved.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, guys, I just, you're watching Gouche Live featuring Paul Rosen. That is Paul Rosen. This is Tommy Groszman. And we have been brought to you by the great people at the Hockey News and the even greater people at Sports Illustrated.
And the great people at Paramount Sports Management, which I am in today, and Gouche is here too.
We're going to show a couple pictures in a sec, but before we let you go, Tommy, there's just a bunch of comments we want to whip through. Can't wait to see the boys try and stump Mr. McGuire.
No, you can't.
Mr. Hockey Bible. And then Ashley says, you guys have to have him on the show. Ashley, Tommy, circle. You're coming on the show for this one. Circle the calendar, September 27th. September 27th. But
okay,
he's coming on. He's coming on this. I think he's coming on Saturday. I think he'll be on Saturday too, just to do a little warm up. Okay. I have the original photo of Henderson scoring the goal. A lot of us have it. It's fantastic. Thank you for sharing it. Ashley will be watching Long Gone Day tonight. Thanks, Ashley, for the support.
Thank you.
I have a picture taken by Frank. Sorry about that. I have the picture taken by Frank Lennon of the Toronto Star, framed on Henderson's goal. That's a beauty. Super Show boys, love the new studio. All right, this is what we're building, guys. This is in Paramount Sports. You walk into the arena, and they've given us this space for Gouche Live featuring Paul Rosen studio, all in support of Stop Concussion, Shoot for a Cure, connected to mental health, and of course our Safe for Sports platform will be there on a daily basis. Paul will be joining me in this. And look at, they allowed me to put my stall in.
It's right behind me, actually.
Yeah, so you're going to see a lot more coming. Final couple of comments. I just noticed, thanks, Aaron, where you were, okay, you and you're Paul. Just like all the other shows, top shelf, Carrie, Rosie, and Tommy. And of course, we want to say, Robert Wine, thank you. That's the best word for describing something well. It's not good or bad, but complicated. Just like Tommy, final word?
Well, I just want to say thank you very much, and the final word about the Team Canada series, which is what we originally started to talk about, was that I think this thing is going to be talked about for another 50 years. I mean, absolutely unbelievable, and I think Carrie put it best. It changed hockey forever.
Yeah. Well, think about it just before you make your final comment. Think about the guys that came after that: Igor Larionov, Makarov, the KLM line, all these different Konstantinov. I played against him in one game in Germany, and he was just above and beyond anybody. So it did definitely change lives. Paul, final word.
Yeah, to me, it's great. It's great now that the kids have the internet and can go back and watch these games, can see what hockey was. You always get, we talk about, your old timer. Oh, I remember those days. I remember that. The kids don't like to hear it, but they can go back and watch and see the greatness that was the 72 Summit Series and see how it changed hockey. So we're watching the great game today, what it is.
My final word is we're building this new place. As you see, it's going to be fantastic. Tommy, when you get to from Montreal to Toronto, we look forward to having you live in studio. What's crazy is I was rolling out this Dave Keon. It's a really long poster. And there were a bunch of kids there, and there was a couple of younger coaches. They may be 30, 35, tops 40s. And I roll this thing out, and one of them says, man, that's Davey Keon. And the next kid says, who the heck's Dave Keon? I said, you don't know who Dave Keon is? And there were 10 kids. Not one of those kids who were under the age of probably 15 knew who Davey Keon was. Wow. Guys, you're in Toronto. Come on, get on Google.
Yeah, sad.
I have a question before you sign off. Just one question, or maybe this could be a whole other show. Because we're talking about these great athletes and, this lineup. I mean, this lineup, the kind of the centers that they had. And by the way, we didn't have a chance to talk about Chicago, Paul. We didn't have a chance to talk about Denis Savard. That's another.
Here we go. That's a whole show. We're going to leave that.
One of my all-time favorites, Denis Savard.
Unbelievable.
How they got him.
Yeah, unbelievable. That's crazy. That's a crazy story. We have to talk about all that one day.
Yep.
So my question to you guys is this, and I know this question has been posed many times. It's nothing new. But if you look at these athletes up and down, the defense, the centermen, the goalies, the amazing amount of talent that was put together for that team, if you compared it to today, like if these athletes would have had the equipment, the training, the nutrition, everything, the light equipment, the schedule, everything that the players of today have, do you think that they would be equivalent or better or worse? What do you think?
I like to say better, but you know, a lot of people will argue that because it's a moot point. We don't have it. But I think if a Bobby Hall had the opportunity to do what the players today have, the stick, the equipment, the nutrition, like you said, you know, players back then came to training camp 30 pounds overweight and got in shape in training camp. Nowadays, players are not, they train 12 months a year. There's no overweight. There's no out of shape. There's no off season. So, I personally think the guys of that vintage would be better.
You know what? It's a really, really good question. And I think we should, we always look for ideas on the show. I think we should maybe do that. We could forget Team Canada 72. Let's take the top 10 players of the 90s or the 80s and compare them to today. Because Paul and I have ad nauseum spoken about Grant Fuhrer.
Yep.
Like, could you, and that's the only way I'm going to be able to equivalent it because it's Wayne Gretzky's quote. And you being a goaltender, Paul, you can appreciate this. Grant Fuhrer, when you look at his numbers and try and compare him to any of the goaltenders now, look at the equipment he wore, look at the structure that he was, look at the conditioning that they did. And that Oilers team had some fun.
Yeah.
And, not well as conditioned and didn't have the diet and the nutrition. Listen, you go to the Toronto Maple Leafs dressing room right now, they've got a chef. Those guys don't even have to go out to eat.
Yeah.
They've got meal plans. They've got everything put in front of them. So it's tough, as you say, always to compare ages. But when you think about a Grant Fuhrer and we look at his numbers, and Tom, you could do it now and look and say, God, I don't even know what they are. But, his goals against are, 6.2 or 5.8 or whatever it is. And then you look at Carey Price's 2.1. Automatically, you're going to say, oh, my God, Carey Price. But when you look at when he made the saves, and that's a really good, we didn't block as many shots back then. How many shots are blocked in this day and age? Paul, you can attest to this and make a statement on it. It's the timing of these saves.
It's a straightforward thing with Grant Fuhrer. Grant Fuhrer was a money goalie. When the money was on the line, he made the save. He might have let 6 in that night, but that critical save to let Gretzky, Curry, Messier, Tikkanen go down and score and have them win, whether it was 7-6 or 9-5, he made the money save at the right time.
Yeah, no question.
Paul, do you think that it's more advantageous to make the comparison with goalies then, because it's like more technical that maybe you can make an analysis better?
Yeah, I'd love to do that. I'd love to get the top goalie, the top 5 goalies in the 80s, 90s, and then right now, absolutely, and study them and put them together for sure.
Tommy, you're the film producer. What we ask of you, let's put that together. Let's do maybe a 2-part. Let's do 3-part. It would even be better.
Okay.
We'll do goalies, defensemen, and forwards.
Sure.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Over the next month, we'll come up with the day where we'll do them. And what a great, great idea. Fantastic. All right, guys, got to run. Got to go and continue on building the Gouche Live featuring Paul Rosen studio. Tommy, can't thank you enough. We're going to take it and look at Long Gone Day. Yeah, we're going to watch it over the next couple, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Starring, if you can't find it, just look for Tim Rosen. Starring Tim Rosen.
All right.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, Tommy.
Have a good day. Be well.
You
be safe. Be safe and be well.
Thank you.
Great guy. I'm so lucky that we got in touch with him today. Knowledgeable, and I really, really like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Long Gone Day, right?
Long Gone Day.
Yep.
All right, what's this? Your brother saying Edmonton ran a track meet during their time. Fuhrer kept them in the games. Very true. Here we go with Barry saying, I know so many minor league players that could have played in the NHL today. It's obviously
absolutely.
We got some great stuff coming from Aussie. It's Adelaide. Boys, the very fact that almost nobody is trying to take your head off anymore is a huge difference in the play's development trajectory.
Well said. So,
all right, buddy, what a great show.
Yeah, really it's Thursday today, but really looking forward to Mental Health Mondays. We're going to have Ashley Langdon on. We're going to have Rob Frid on. really watch that show on Monday, boys and girls, and you're going to learn a lot. You talk about two guys in Ashley and Rob who gave their heart and soul to this game that we all love.
Listen, we also, tomorrow, we're going to have a great show. Malcolm Sutherland's coming on. As you know, rinks are opening up, schools are opening up. So we are in the process of talking about how our rinks and how our schools going to be protecting our young boys and girls. And we are very lucky to have Pierre Costopoulos come on with us. He's going to be talking about his new product called Presidio, where you can actually come into it. It takes your temperature, make sure you got a mask on, you sanitize your hands, and then you go into the school and it'll track social distancing and everything. It's phenomenal. It is the first of its kind. It is installed here at King Heights Academy, and the kids will have a little bit ease, as will the parents. And then we've got Chris Moynes next week coming on Tuesday, Paul, which is going to be absolutely fantastic. He's from One Sports. He deals with players' wealth, money wealth, tracks them after the game. And we'll talk to him about how this pandemic has hurt players that are probably having to retire. They may not come back, or they've already retired, and what's it done with their, with their investments, with all this craziness. Chris will be here to talk about that. So We're really excited.
Perfect. Looking forward to it.
Don't forget, Steve, Saturday, talking with Taylor.
The best. Absolutely. See what he thinks. By then, we'll be done. There'll be, Game 7 tomorrow night with Colorado and Dallas. The Game 6 is tonight. If they go 7, they'll be on Saturday. So, yeah, we'll be ready for the next round.
I say both games tonight go into Game 7, and we're just going to have a hell of a party coming up. Okay. Hey, listen, Barry, you make our day by taking time out to be with us.
Yeah.
Listen, you have lots of things to choose of. Paul and I don't. We just come and talk on a microphone. You could be out doing golfing or shopping for the wife.
I say both end tonight, Gouche. I say that the Islanders end it tonight. Vegas ends it tonight, and then Colorado ends it tomorrow, and we move on to the next series.
$2. I got $2 on it.
All right, cool. No problem.
Always a pleasure, kid.
Let's play some hockey.